Hi guys, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Baton Rouge Gallery. Welcome to our virtual opening reception for our June 2021 exhibition. My name is Jason Andreessen. I'm the president and CEO for Baton Rouge Gallery. It's a pleasure to have you joining us tonight. We've got three artists who are exhibiting all this month through July 1st. You'll meet every one of them tonight, see the latest works that they have on view in the gallery. Again, as always, all of these works are available online at batonrougegallery.org/current, but they're also available in person. You can come by Baton Rouge Gallery anytime, any day, except for Mondays between noon and 6. The gallery is free and open to the public, so we hope you'll come and see these works in person, because I promise you the feed from this camera does not do them justice, so please come by and see them. You'll meet all the artists in a few minutes, but we've got some really exciting news and some exciting announcements before we get to that. But before we get to the announcements, we want to say a quick word of thanks to all of our members and all of our donors who help support the gallery year-round and make it possible for us to have our home in City Park, have our exhibiting artists share their work on the walls here in the gallery. Thank you to everyone who is a member and who has given to the gallery to support the gallery, especially during the pandemic. If you are not already a member and would like to be a member, you can go to batonrougegallery.org/join to become one. And be entered for drawings from time to time. And Francesca Vega, our development director, will tell you a little bit more about that.
Yes, so this month we did a drawing for a piece, and we are happy to announce that Shannon Cavell is the winner of tonight's piece. We also want to thank Debbie Daniel, our Baton Rouge Gallery Board Chair and member, for sponsoring this artwork that was drawn today. If you're not a member, consider joining by visiting batonrougegallery.org/join or giving us a call here at the gallery.
Congratulations, Shannon. Thank you, Francesca. So again, we have a few announcements. As everybody is surely aware, we've got a lot going on in the world, and things have been quite strange and unusual for a good long while. But we are really excited to say that some things are getting back to normal here at Baton Rouge Gallery. The first of which is that Movies and Music on the Lawn is coming back. June 26th will be the return of Movies and Music on the Lawn. We could not be more excited to have this program back. Obviously, last year we were forced to cancel it. But this summer, Movies and Music is back. Come and join us on the back lawn for great nights of film and music with some incredible Louisiana-based bands. It starts on June 26th, like I said, on a Saturday. The band Ria Rosa will be performing alongside the 1927 silent film The Red Mill. It's a great kind of romantic comedy set in the Netherlands, but it is a funny film, and Ria Rosa, if you're not familiar with them, look them up. They are an incredible Baton Rouge-based band. So we're really excited about them, and the entire lineup will be released tomorrow. We'll announce the full lineup for Movies and Music on the Lawn. Those of you who are familiar with the program know that admission is just $7. Bottomless popcorn is included in that. And if you remember, you get free admission depending on the membership level that you are at. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to give us a call at the gallery. Francesca can certainly look into your membership level and let you know how that impacts Movies and Music. But go ahead and mark your calendars now. June 26th, Movies and Music on the Lawn is back, and we couldn't be more excited. Thank you to all the sponsors this year, all the partners who are making that possible. Stay tuned, because there's more information coming about the full lineup all summer long. Our second announcement is that this is our last virtual reception. Hopefully, fingers crossed, forever and ever. But we are bringing First Wednesdays back. July 7th will be the next First Wednesday. We will be here in person. We've got a great show planned featuring the work of Anne Boudreau, Marcus McAllister, and Diane Hansen. And we hope you will be here to enjoy it from 6 to 9 on July 7th. It's been a while since we were able to have a First Wednesday, but they're a big part of the gallery and they're a big part of the city. So we hope you're excited as we are to bring it back to Baton Rouge. So if you have any questions about any of that, please let us know. Please stay tuned to our social media channels, as well as email information that's going out. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But we are beyond excited. Thank you again to everybody who has helped the gallery get through this incredibly strange time. Not to say that it's over by any stretch, But thank you for those of you who have made it possible for us to weather the last year plus. And now we look forward to Movies and Music, first Wednesdays, and the rest of Baton Rouge Gallery programming returning to quote-unquote normal. But before we do that, we're going to, speaking of normal, perhaps that's not the word to use before we turn things over to David Scott Smith and his work. But nonetheless, we're going to round this corner here and start with the work of David Scott Smith. So give us just a moment while we make our way around the corner. Perfect point right off the bat. Hi, David. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me be here. I think I just inhaled a peanut, so hopefully I won't start coughing. What am I? Oh, that's not weird. Yeah. So what should I do? Walk along in front of stuff?
You're the star of the show. You do you.
The star of the show?
We're live.
Me
So
doing me is without a shirt.
Don't
I
get us
think
in
we're gonna
trouble.
do that tonight. Yeah. So for those of you that haven't visited the gallery yet, because it just opened, this year I have a lot of, I think, smaller pieces, which I like, and am happy that a lot of people have already decided to take them home. But this is the title of the exhibition is Follow the Rabbit, and a lot of it is a response to the pandemic and 4 years of hell, but also hopefully a sense of humor, because I like to laugh while I work. So are you going to continue with the camera, or I don't know what you're doing?
Normally, we go through the show and you
Okay.
kind of talk about the pieces that stick out to you. It can be everyone or every few. It's up to you.
Okay. Well, these are a good place to start, because these are probably the newest out of everything. Although I will say that almost everything was finished at least 3 to 4 weeks before I packed it to send. So it's all new stuff. Some of these are a little bit older, in like a year, but I really, one thing I love about the gallery is that I try and challenge myself to do something new. There's the rule that we can't show work that you haven't seen before, but I want to do something that I'm doing right now. So these, when the pandemic hit, of course, we had to do a lot of, my students did stuff online, and I had to do pinch pots, which I hate. Working with pinch pots is awful. It seems so rudimentary, but I really got into it. And it's also that question of what is an art object and what can be an art object. And I'm starting to believe that just about anything can be an art object, except for what Jeff Koons makes or Damien Hirst. That stuff's crap. But anyway, whatever, these are, they're pretty basic. They're pinch pots, and I do a lot of press molds. So the eyes were from eggs. And this was from a deer jawbone. This was a taxidermy tongue and an orange. But I like this idea of something that looks like it can be a face, but it's just sort of like an assemblage of these things. Anyway, these were more fun. And of course, everybody liked those because they were, I don't know, they seem pretty happy. People tell me my work is spooky, but it's really not. What's on television is a lot more frightening than my work. So anyway, then there's this stuff down here.
We've
There's
got
more
some
of it.
comments coming in.
Ooh, comments.
Debbie Daniel says, look at all the red dots.
Yep, there we go. Thank you, Debbie. This is the one on the card, and that's one of my favorite pieces. That was kind of the one that started it all. I made that in the studio, a pinch pot, when I put these things on, and I asked my wife what she thought, and she said, I think it's fucking weird. Oh, sorry, that was a bad word. And then this one is interesting because it cracked during the first firing with glaze, but I liked it. And it's actually fused together in the back, so it's nothing that is going to compromise the structural integrity. In fact, can I just take it off and show them?
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Oh, Lord. Yes, look. So this is from a technical point. It's kind of interesting. This crack happened during the firing, and then it welded itself back together. And at first I was going to throw it out, and I hung it up in the studio. And the more I looked at it, the more I was like, I think the crack made it better, which is embarrassing. Yeah, I like it. And then there's these guys. A lot of people don't realize this is an alligator. It's kind of fun to watch the people at the opening that looked at it and for a long time and didn't realize that's an alligator head. But a lot about this show is, for one thing I'll tell you, is there aren't any rabbits. So it's like follow the rabbit, like Alice in Wonderland, but these are all things in disguise, and they're all, a lot of them are pretty murderous. So he's the chief thug in that one. Oh well. And then there's these. How long did we do this?
You got about 5 more minutes.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. And these were molds of my face that it was really easy. I just took super wet clay and pressed it against my face. I held my breath and then pulled it off. And I like how when you press the clay into it, they look, because you press this material into your face, you flatten your face, and they look like, they remind me of those bog corpses that they found that were buried in the bog for a long, long time. You know, I like that. And initially these were all going to have video, but I have not been able to learn video the way I wanted to. And I had some stuff, but I wanted to project bodies onto them, and or maybe even project like a face onto it, so that while you're looking at it, you don't see the video, and then all of a sudden the face moves. I think that would really freak people out.
We had a question.
Yeah.
Someone wanted to know what you used to mold the frog.
A frog.
An actual frog.
In fact, actually, Clark Durbus and I caught those frogs right down here on the golf course back in like 2006 or 2005, I forget.
Was it the same process, just super wet clay?
No, it's not. And casting a frog, and so most people should know that I really do try not to just go out and murder things for art. But a frog is almost all water. I mean, a frog, when it dies, immediately deteriorates. So I had to actually catch one, and I made about 20 molds off the same frog. But yeah, I did catch a frog for that. And I've used that frog many, 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 many times. Yeah, so these are some of the first pieces. So these are a year old, but there were, you know, every series starts somewhere, and those are the ones that started it. They initially had bodies and wings, and they looked terrible, so I took them off. And these are teapots. They're terrible. They don't work. I mean, you can put water in them, and you can pour it out of the ear, but I really enjoyed making them. What's that?
I was commenting on your salesmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a great job selling your work.
And these teapots were fun to make. I really like writing articles for how-to ceramics magazines. So these were a project that I did where I went down to New Orleans and made molds in the French Quarter and the Atchafalaya Basin and documented that. And then I went back to Maryland, and I made these teapots. There's 3 of them. And cups. I won't go off on this too much, but I really enjoy making pottery. When I was in undergraduate school, I actually have a BA in English literature. My worst grade was pottery. I got a C-, and I told my teacher I'd never do it again because it was stupid. But I really enjoy making pots now. In fact, I spent a lot of time working on this show, but I make hundreds and hundreds of pots at home.
Teapot.
There's no teapot. That was for that Anna mold making project.
Are these crawfish feet?
Yep, crawfish feet. Actually, I can pick it up if you want, and then it'll freak you out. But see the flowers, the lid comes out. There's corn. There's a little blue crab from Grand Isle. This is a stump off of it's in the lake, but it's what's that near La Paz. There's a place where you can go out and you can have access to the lake right there. This is the end of the stumps on the dock. And there's garfish, there's alligator, there's garfish there. Corn again, because corn is fun. This is a little thing that I ripped off of I took a mold off something in St. Peter. So they all have stuff like that.
If you visit the gallery, folks, please don't pick up the pottery.
Or do it when Kelsey's not looking.
No, just don't. Give me a heart attack.
Yep. But on that note, all these things are supposed to be used. And it's interesting that I don't think the cups have as much attention so far, but the thing that I love about the cup, and every potter geeks out about this, but you know, art that hangs on your wall is nice and everything, but art that you use every day, that you put against your face and eat out of, seeing someone that use one of your pieces is really, it's a thrill, you know? And you know, I like these teapots, but no one's ever going to use this teapot. I mean, they could, it's functional, but they're not going to. They're going to put it on a shelf and look at it. I really like stuff that you can use. And I was going to get little succulents for these, but then I didn't know how I could get them here without killing them. So I made these plants, and apparently these plants are like the most important thing that I made. Everybody loves these stupid plants.
You should make more plants.
There you go.
Yeah. We got one last little bit over here.
Yep. And there we go. And this one just sold like in the last hour, so you better get down here and buy all this crap before it's gone.
He said, okay, it's not crap.
All right.
Well, thank you, David.
Brad's turn.
All right, we are going to transition over to one of our newer artist members, Brad Jensen.
Hello.
Hey, Brad.
My name is Brad Jensen. This is my first show as a newly minted Baton Rouge gallery artist. Shout out. And I really couldn't be more honored, to be honest with you. The gallery here is a great institution to the creative community here in Baton Rouge. It's played an important role in my life. I've made a lot of connections here. So for anyone who hasn't been to an opening, I highly recommend coming and checking it out, and bring a friend or two, or definitely tell someone about it. But anyways, my show is titled Gross Domestic Product. And like many of my works, the title of the show is sort of a play on the words, because it is largely focused on some, I guess, American ailments as a succinct way. You can find the long version in my artist statement, but in general, I wanted to make sure that I was creating artwork that was that someone could know that it came out of this present time. With that being said, I also am more of a fan of things that are 50, 60 years old. So I think a lot of people kind of see a sort of a vintage retro vibe to my artwork. That's sort of, as a graphic designer, I've always been heavily influenced by illustrators from, the old days when it was all pen and ink. But I've tried to sort of carry some of those sort of characteristics and those sort of stylistic sensibilities into my modern work, because it's all created digitally first, but it ultimately usually ends up as a stencil or a screen print, which is my favorite medium to work in. As a matter of fact, screen printing was kind of my foray into creating artwork. I was, as a kid, always interested in making drawings and paintings, but screen printing really is what kind of synthesized my ability to create artwork. So anyways, on with the show. Enough about me. This first piece, it's just art, which features a Baton Rouge cop car, but I've sort of made it my own. It's kind of self-explanatory, I suppose, but there's a short story behind it. It was, as someone who's participated in mischievous acts
That he would never admit to on live. Yeah.
Public acts of defiance. Right. The policemen are always, kind of a factor. I grew up riding BMX and, riding in places that you weren't supposed to be doing, or just being, a person who was kind of out. The police are kind of everywhere, so you're always kind of keeping out. This piece, The Tough Guys, another sort of double entendre. It actually kind of started out as more of a commentary on my own work, because it can be, I guess, fairly masculine. I use a lot of bold lines, a lot of textures that, just sort of speak to, probably the music and the culture that I sort of grew up in. But ironically, I created this graphic right before the Alton Sterling shooting. And shortly afterwards is when, everyone who has witnessed the 2016 drama of Baton Rouge, that piece was like so poignant, to the moment. And then, of course, last year, things hit the fan again. And so I kind of reworked the piece, changed it from an eagle to a vulture, and I adopted a new verbiage in there as sort of a warning about, so it's sort of a commentary on excessive law enforcement. I don't think that all police are bad, but, we've got to hold people accountable. The Louisiana Explore Our Capital piece. I kind of can't take credit for the metaphor that this is, because if you kind of zoom in, it's got a Exxon flag on the top. And I had heard, I believe on the radio one day, someone talking about there should be a Texaco flag flying from the Capitol. But it's clearly about sort of the corporate, I'm trying to say this delicately, but it's basically about corporate influence over our governing bodies of, particularly here in the state, because a lot of people don't know that Louisiana is one of the greatest producers of energy in our city, or in our country rather, but it, kind of lacks a lot of the resources that it should be getting from that. So the Support American Products, our greatest export yet, and features guys unloading a package that says Fear Manufacturing Company. That's a deliberate spoof on the SO logo, which is sort of a nod again to the exporting of fossil fuels and gas and oil, that sort of industry, especially here in Louisiana. But it is also a commentary on the U.S.'s foreign intervention, I guess. Sometimes I feel like that I've probably watched too many Oliver Stone or Adam Curtis documentaries. I think they've definitely had an influence on me. This piece, the U.S. is titled Land of Opportunity. And this was, the text says, the American way, everyone gets a shot. Obviously, that's sort of a twisted way of looking at meritocracy that everyone seems to be so fond of. Okay, sorry. But also gun violence. This piece was a direct kind of feeling resulting from last year's
The pandemic.
Really kind of more the upheaval, the social upheaval in the U.S. There's a burning cop car in the back, riot police, and then there's this couple, which are kind of, sort of unaffected by the situation in reality. And it kind of represented a little bit the way that I felt, because as much chaos as I saw sort of unfolding around me, I felt kind of helpless and, to be honest with you, largely unaffected in my physical day-to-day life. But I knew that it wasn't quite the paradise everyone else was experiencing. So this piece up here, We're Making a Killing. This is everyone's favorite U.S. character, Uncle Sam. He's got a lot of cash and gun in his hand. Again, this is sort of a nod to the U.S.'s addiction to the gun industry and also the oil dependence that everyone seems to be taking advantage of in a monetary fashion.
I'm trying to show it. It doesn't show very well on camera, but this gold layer underneath it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the pattern you'd see on money.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where that came from. And so that was kind of a way for me to incorporate another layer of texture, but also to add another layer of meaning to, obviously the money part of the thing.
So I'd like to point out what's interesting with your printmaking background is your ability to make multiples and variations on a single composition. Can you talk about these two right here?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, these two pieces are, again, another sort of inspiring from the social unrest from last summer. I should have spell checked it earlier because I did misspell pursuit, but not everyone's caught it, so I probably shouldn't be telling it.
Yeah, why are you talking on yourself?
Some people say it makes it better, but anyway, as far as like making multiples, because screen printing has been something that not only from a production standpoint is appealing, just the process of it. I guess that's it. To me, screen printing was the thing that sort of made me realize that I can do so much as one person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, like I can print hundreds of something all on my own. Fairly archaic printmaking method, so it's pretty awesome.
It's kind of interesting that you're into screen printing and stencils, which to me has two of sort of the same type of thing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Stencils are much more immediate and quicker, where screen printing, there's a process of making films and exposing it, and a lot of people don't really realize how much is involved in the setup of getting to this point. It's when you're making a piece that's screen printed, it's all in the setup.
So keeping in the theme of multiples, let's take you to the hallway where we can explore a little bit of that variation.
Yeah. So not all the other part of the show was since the gross domestic product, and it's alluding to the actual production of art and my screen printing fascination. So it was important for me to create volume, to create multiples, and to see what I could do as a singular artist. And that's sort of where this part came in, where these are actually kind of originally designed as repeatable patterns. So if I really wanted to, I can tile these up all together and it's seamless, so they connect to each other. But I decided, kind of experiment with some colors to add a little variety. I got kind of fascinated with creating patterns a few years ago, initially as an exercise in the morning for me to just sort of get my brain and my hands going, and it sort of became, like I said, a little bit of an obsession of, creating these patterns that get used in the backgrounds of all these pieces, and sometimes, in this case, are the piece themselves. This is another one. This is just kind of, very uncreative title: Vine. Positive, Vine. Negative is the other ones. But just again, these are just a really kind of good brain exercise for me to get myself moving in the morning whenever I sit down and start working.
So this would be you doing your artistic curls,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Going to the art gym.
Yeah. This is my creative calisthenics.
Great. So let's see. We got one more wall to look at here, which is a doozy of a wall. Look at this. My goodness.
Yeah, so these are actually all painted. Of course, again, with the stenciling, much like screen printing, you can create multiples. Sometimes, I guess I decided to do this because I couldn't decide which one I liked most, so I just made them all. This piece first initially appeared in a show at the Ephemeral Gallery, and got a lot of attention, and it kind of made it sort of the title of these pieces is called Beautiful Struggle. Let me kind of speak about that. And these were sort of a metaphor, actually inspired by my girlfriend. She had a piece that she had drawn that said Beautiful Struggle. I was kind of started thinking about what that sort of meant to me, and sort of a visual metaphor. So these flowers were, sort of this resistant element that, it doesn't seem to matter what you constrain a plant, that will continue to grow. So these all have sort of a man-made object represented in it that is, meant to be sort of a constricting device. And the flowers, just like in any part of nature, it will kind of survive.
Yeah, and the way you've installed them here is really great.
Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right, so we got our last piece here to talk
The
about.
last piece. This is just kind of an exercise in design for me. It started just thinking, wanting to create an object that was really well known and designed. There's not much you need to do out of, but I thought about a way to abstract that, in the vein of John and flags and things like that. So this was sort of my modern, abstraction of that.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, that was Brad Jensen, everybody.
Thanks so much.
And now we are going to go ahead and scoot over to Jackie Parker.
Well, hello, and thank you to the gallery. It's a delight to be able to have a body of work installed in the flesh after a year of being sequestered in the studio. And so thanks to all of you great folks here. The title of my show is House of Cards, and these are vintage playing cards that were an extension of the sketchbook journaling that I do daily in the studio. I started working on the playing cards because I needed to get kind of off the pages of the sketchbook last summer when I felt kind of stuck. And they were a way for me to have some fun and to explore working on a different kind of surface in a different kind of way. And literally to construct a game during a time that felt insane and difficult and scary. So they provided some comfort and some very real joy. And they were accumulating, and they're still accumulating because I've had so much fun making them. And I thought about different ways of configuring them, and ultimately decided on this arrangement because I wanted to have the kind of juxtaposition that's present in other pieces. I often work in series. I think a lot about lived in space, inhabited space, space where one has lived and loved and laughed and mourned and had nightmares and lovely dreams. And so, the decks of cards are also a kind of part of that activity within a space. So the pieces that are on the wall beside the cards kind of reference them dimension-wise and mood-wise.
There's sort of a similar shape
Similar
in these
shape,
guys, yeah.
Not exactly proportional, but it was something that directed the scale. I also wanted pieces that were a little more intimate, that because I enjoyed this the scale of these oversized cards.
Mm-hmm.
All of my work includes vintage papers. I've liked old things my whole life. There's a kind of sensual appeal to the look and the feel of those old papers. And as Brad suggested, you find so many beautiful things that were created by hand, old fonts and details. I use a lot of antique literature and music books because music has always been a fact of my life. I'm the daughter of a violinist, married to a cellist, played violin badly through college, but no longer touch it, just listen. But there's kind of a soundtrack that is present when I'm working, and having little bits of music, whether or not those elements are clear to a viewer, do enrich and inform my own sense of process.
So you and I were talking a while back about some of the different things that you've been exploring this year. And a keen looker would notice that this one feels like quite a departure from what they're used to seeing from you.
Yeah, not necessarily palette-wise, but yeah, they're edge-wise.
We're touching the edges.
Yeah, we're pushing at the edges, and this is called aptly titled Lockdown. And so there are lots of different views embedded in the piece, kind of an aerial view of a little mosaic floor, and some balconies, some implied architectural elements. But I really used the period of this past year where there are so many restrictions on all of our lives to embrace freedom in the studio in a different kind of way. So here, it's a more controlled space. The constructions of these different chambers, these rooms, these environments, kind of float within that spatial atmosphere. I usually begin with layering the ground, multiple glazes until I just hit a resonant note, and then begin construction. My process is very intuitive. These pieces, however, because I also contradict myself, are on just virgin canvas.
Yeah, they are. That doesn't come through quite as well on video,
Yeah.
so the audience will just have to come and see it.
Jackie, one question for you.
Yes.
Some folks may not be aware of the fact that you also have a history as a poet. And can you talk a little bit about how that part of your life might play a part in influence your visual work?
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of my choice of materials, I mean, I as I said, I journal every day. It's a part of my process. So writing is a big part of my process. Reading is a big part of my process. And language matters to me in the same way that little musical quotes or some musical elements can be embedded in the imagery. Textual elements really matter process-wise. Whether or not there's a little phrase or word or even just a morpheme present, that stimulates my making. It gives ideas. It directs the visual construction to have the text present. This piece is called Scaffold for some things I cannot say, and of these here, this is on linen, is painted, and in addition to a lot of the vintage papers, and there's some drawing with India ink and graphite underneath. This comes from an old accordion that my husband took apart. So, I moved back and forth between, more saturated palette and super neutral tone on tone. That's the way in which I give myself permission to really play during this period of time. These pieces were part of a larger series of 24 panels that I worked on last spring, and they are little of psychic emotional space. Different titles. My ones.
That's because they can go to BatonRougeGallery.org and see all the titles.
That will be on view this month. This piece, its title actually from called "Oh Brother," and It's more than two ways of looking at an at. It was an outlier for the longest time, and I feel like it's found its community here. An outlier again because of those edges becoming more insistent. Some more little neutrals. So in addition to, playing with color, I like moving back. Oh, my stomach's growling. Hope you didn't hear that.
Well, if they didn't, you told them what it was anyway.
Okay. What was I going to say? I was talking about scale and color. The seventh letter, balls in the air, and what flanks this central piece is Casey at the Bat, a poem that my father used to recite when I was a child. A poem I really loved listening to, but it's actually how arrogant and ode to those who've come before is.
Can you tell us about this piece in the middle?
This piece in the middle is called Leaving the Carnival. Inhabited space is not always, though often is for me, an interior space. This is this uses the bridge of emotional memory to explore exterior space. And as with the playing cards, I channeled back into joys of early life, playing games, going on rides, waiting for my ticket.
The words, the paste, and that really kind of draws on that poetry.
I think a lot about that's really loud. I think a lot about sound effects. I mean, the sound effects can really.
Do you listen to music when you're working on stuff?
Sometimes I listen to music, and sometimes I listen to podcasts.
It feels very musical to me. I'm sorry if I shouldn't be interjecting, but I felt like, like your work has a very jazzness to me, that's sort of mid-century American design, But then I also see like these overhead landscapes, and there's a lot to look at your work.
Oh, thanks. During some of these, like the little ones, I was listening to Mrs. Dalloway, books on tape also, which is a phenomenal novel about space and time.
I've always felt looking at your work like we're watching a whole song happen at the same time.
That's a lovely. It's lovely.
You can take
Can I
it.
quote you on that?
Yes, you may. That is now yours.
Sounds like a good spot to close out on. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you watching tonight. Please, please, please come by Baton Rouge Gallery all this month to see all of these works in person. The show is up through July 1st. Again, any day but Monday between noon and 6, you can catch every single piece in this show. You can also see them online, batonrougegallery.org/current. You'll find links to the 3 individual exhibitions that are on view this month. And you may have, if you weren't aware of the announcements that we made, I think last month, there is now payment plan opportunities. If you are interested in any of these pieces and want to start a payment plan and take care of things with periodic payments, you can certainly do that. There's information on our website about how to set that up. It is incredibly easy. We will take all of the legwork out of it for you. You can also download the Art Placer app. We have a new partnership with the Art Placer app, which will allow you to use augmented reality in your home and actually put a piece just like this one into your home on any wall you want, and you'll see it to scale. You'll see exactly how it'll look over your dining room table, your bed, whatever room you want to have it in. The Art Placer app will allow you to do that and take all the guesswork out of things. But there's nothing like seeing it in person. So please come by Baton Rouge Gallery between now and July 1st and see all these works in person. Thanks so much. We'll see you at Movies and Music on June 26th, and then for First Wednesday on July 7th. Have a good night. Thank you so much. See you soon.